What's up, dude?
Oh, great week.
Yeah.
Just ended up, at GTIA ChannelCon. So awesome week.
Well, can I tell you that having a 10-year-old who semi-understands technology but doesn't understand responsibility is a murder to my brain?
Yes. Great power.
Roman, oh yeah, right, with great power. So Roman's been in sleepaway camp, and at the camp, they're allowed to bring like a little personal device to like listen to music or do whatever. So when he started sleepaway camp, I bought like 10 iPod touches, like the last generation that they made. And they're old already.
Right.
He has gone through 4 of them in 2 years. He bricked one. He then left it at camp. He then lost one. And now he's on his 4th one. And I'm like, he thinks they're just like, I got them all over the house. Like he thinks I have like 1,000 of them. And at this point now I need to buy them. But like, I also need to teach him responsibility.
Yeah. Although, I had an iPod Touch, and that was probably my favorite MP3 player of all time.
I have another one right here because I just keep them prepped, ready to go. This is a great little thing. It runs like iOS 12. They're up to 18. 26 is coming out soon. But yeah, I feel like I'm engaging the wrong way by just keep giving him one, as opposed to like making him suffer the rest of the summer without one. Also, like I went to summer camp and we didn't have iPods and I was fine.
This is true.
Look how well I turned out. Been an ear.
Traditional vulnerability management is outdated, disruptive, and costly. Nodeware offers MSPs a better solution. Continuous 24/7 vulnerability scanning, even during business hours, with no network impact. Deploy it remotely via software agents and sensors, eliminating the need for extra hardware and on-site visits, saving you time and money. The multi-tenant dashboard with built-in remediation guidance and patch management makes it easy to identify, manage, and remediate vulnerabilities quickly, helping you better protect your clients. Visit atmsp.link/nodeware to learn more. Customers don't want to have their support call answered by a bot. And if a real live human being answers the phone, they don't want to have to struggle to understand them. What your customers do want is a tech support specialist who speaks plainly, clearly, and has the skills and knowledge to help solve their issue. You want your customers to enjoy that kind of excellent experience. Give your customers what they want without blowing your budget by partnering with Helped. Helped's US-based experts answer 24/7 by 365, serving as your help desk. Check out atmsp.link/helped. That's atmsp.link/HELPT for more info.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar, and with me always is Doc Scruff Brown, Eric Anthony. Great
Actually
Scott.
had it trimmed.
Great Scott. That's a lot of chin fuzz. They're getting worse.
Yes, but better at the same time.
I feel like it's just because I'm running out of like topic lines to give it, because I want something that's relatable. Because it keeps going like, do you want to do Disney princesses? And I'm like, no.
Disney princesses with a beard?
All right, we're going to do this. All right, give me, hey, ChatGPT, give me a round of beard jokes as Disney princesses. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a live exclusive happening real time.
Right now.
Oh, yes, it's time for the Beardical Kingdom. Here are jokes. Beardsel, Hariel, Scruff Beauty, Beardahuntus, Elscruff, Mermaina, Mulan of Stubble, Snow Whiskers, Tangled Chin, and Tiana Turner. There you go. That's what you get. Now all of you have to hear that too.
Lovely, lovely.
Weirdly enough, it was excited to give me Disney princesses. Like I fed it a cookie. Thanks, ChatGPT.
There you go.
No, seriously, what's going on? How are you today, my friend?
I'm good.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today, last week we talked about the 7 overused buzzwords. And like we took a little bit of a joke at it. We made a little game show out of it. But There was one that we talked about last week that I kind of want to touch further into, which is the trusted advisor one, because I feel like whilst we did knock at it a little bit last week, knowing that my financial advisor makes a lot more money than I do because he's got a boat, we really should talk about what it means to be a trusted advisor and why, if you want to use that term, like what you could do to be a proper trusted advisor for your customers, as opposed to just saying garbage.
Yeah.
Which is what I feel like a lot of people do.
And the way I want to frame this is there are a lot of different kinds of trusted advisors that businesses use, right? Mm-hmm. And that we use personally. Probably the top three that I'm going to talk about, and we'll use analogies throughout, is an accountant, your CPA, your attorney, and your financial advisor. And I think one of the things that really makes a good one of those, a better one of those, is the fact that they help you plan for the future and they keep you out of trouble in the future.
Can I add on that?
You absolutely can.
And then they know you and your personality, and they pick things and work with you in the way you live to keep you out of trouble in the future on top of that.
And that's the trusted part.
Right. Because I was thinking about my financial advisor for a second, and I've come to him with things that I've maybe wanted to invest in, and he would tell me no, but he knew where I was going, like directionally. And he's like, not that, but maybe this. Right. Mm-hmm. So things that interest me or in the world that I'm in, things that I would know about. Like, he's not like, I need you to invest in, flooring companies. I don't know anything about flooring companies, but like when it comes to tech, as an example, because obviously I'm into tech, knowing that AMD or NVIDIA is on the verge of a new chip to do AI or whatever, and then getting me involved with that before that news breaks or whatever, those kind of things. It's not inside stock trading. You know what I mean, guys.
Yes.
So yes, understanding and helping the future of your customers is what makes you the trusted advisor. And we did, like I said, we did knock it in the last one because too many people, I do believe, say, I'm your trusted advisor, and then like don't actually, and then they just sell them a bunch of stuff because they're not really a trusted advisor. They're just a salesperson.
Right. And I think that comes with, you have to have a certain qualification to be an advisor for a certain type of client, right? Mm-hmm. You have to understand their industry, understand their pain points, be able to understand what their goals are in their business in order to advise them on those things. Because, and this goes back to what you were just saying, a lot of IT people use trusted advisor in their marketing, but they're not supporting the business outcomes of their clients. They're literally just keeping the IT running.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Like, even myself as the host of the show, right? I feel like I'm the trusted advisor for the people who are listening, and I'm trying to help guide you guys. But at the same time, like, I also do coaching and consulting, and I try to be advisors for for other MSPs. It's this weird thing of like knowing what you know and being able to like articulate that so that way the customer feels, because the trusted part is about how the customer feels, not what you say.
Correct.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with you using their language.
Exactly. Right. If you know the industry, like I can speak nonprofit. I understand the differences in how they do their financials between capital expenditures versus operating expenditures. And I understand GuideStar rating, things like that. It helps me be a better trusted advisor to the nonprofit customers that I have. Right. But if you're taking care of nonprofits and you don't understand these like nuances that make a nonprofit work, and then you're like, by the way, guys, hot new thing off the press is getting, sock and seam, and you need that immediately. And they're like, we're a 6-person company. We can't afford this. You shouldn't have been pitching that in the first place. It's knowing and supporting their outcome, like you said, supporting their outcomes, not just providing help desk services. There's nothing wrong with just providing help desk services, but if you're just providing help desk services, you're not necessarily a trusted technical advisor.
Just don't use the words.
Just don't use the words. Exactly. Yeah. All right, cool. So we're done here. Thanks for listening.
So talking about language and communication, I think one of the key components of the trusted piece is communications.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of things that are included in those communications. Not to overdo it, but business reviews obviously are one way to communicate. Reporting is another way to communicate. Just casual flybys, right? You're in the neighborhood, you stop by and you have a quick conversation or a cup of coffee with them so that you are maintaining that constant communication, and nothing has the opportunity to fester, I guess, is one of the things that I want to say.
Yeah, you don't want that. You definitely don't want the festering. I think there's, again, and we've talked about this in the past shows or whatever it is, like Virtua doesn't do QBRs. And for the reason of, I talk to our customers so much on a regular basis. Like I know what's going on, and I can be with them in the moment to do stuff. And that's not to say that that's right or wrong for either side. Like some people have to do it as a written report. Some people are more extroverted like I am and are able to do it on the fly and be able to do that. Some people aren't, and that's fine. But the clients who come to me, if you talk to me on the ones who talk to me more are the ones who I know trust me and know that they can trust my opinion. Like I have a client who will you know what it is? I think I just realized that this is a good one. When a client can come to you and go, I'm thinking about buying a computer for my mom. Which one should I get? Boom. Trusted advisor. Right? Like it's those little things that really prove that you're trusted within their organization that help you. And also that helps your stickiness with them in the long run.
Yep.
Because they want your opinion on things. They want you to help them out. Now, if you're not an extrovert person or not doing it that way, and you're doing the QBRs or the reporting, definitely finding a way to sit down with your customer and map out, let's say, 1 to 3 year plan,
road mapping,
a roadmap. Yeah. Understanding where they want to go, what their goals are. Right. Because, I joke around a lot about how the fact that like, I want to buy a private plane. Like that's my love. Like that's my BHAG is like, I want to buy the private jet with the Virtual logo on it. But like, there's a lot of people who don't. I really have a customer who's like, I think at most in the 9 years I've been working with him, he had 30 people and he's down to like 15 now. And he's like, I don't actually want more than 15 people. I feel like we grew too big. And in my head, I'm like, that makes no sense. Doesn't everybody want to grow the biggest company they can grow? And that's only because I want to grow the biggest company I can grow. But some people are content at the size they are. Understanding that and mapping for that and planning for that makes me more valuable to him and more trustworthy to him than trying to push things that would help him be a 30, 60, 100 person company, because that's never something that he wants to do in the first place.
Right. And that's, so many MSPs are going to struggle with this piece, right? Because I would bet that more than half of MSPs are really just running around with their hair on fire, right? Because I've been there, you've been there.
I was going to make a joke about the fact that I was there once and this is why I look the way I look.
But I ran across this quote, and I don't know who said it, but I ran across this while I was researching this episode. And it says, trust is built in the calm, not in the storm.
Oh, I like that.
100% true.
Get that tattooed. 100%.
That is tattoo worthy.
Yeah. I had an employee one time who believed every ticket was a fire and every fire was like a volcano erupting, basically. And the problem with that was not that my clients didn't trust him. Like he got the stuff done, but they were always coming to me immediately after, because either he went too far, he went in the wrong direction or whatever, because he was always like freaking the F out about things. So yeah, I like that quote for, 100%, because the times, like, think about, for the people who are listening, like, think about the people who you're friends with, like your literal friends, not like your not business colleagues, like your actual friends. And I'm hoping that some of you have friends. Like, that trust that you built over time, right? That came from like just hanging out and being calm and just talking about whatever it is you talk about, whether it's you're talking about work or your golf game or, how often you're napping, Scott. You didn't build that friendship out of panic. You didn't build that friendship because the two of you were on a bus that couldn't go below 50 miles an hour and it was going to explode, right? It's the same thing with your work. It's the same thing with the business owners. And it's the same thing, especially with the employees at that company, because you need everyone at that company to trust you, not just the owner, to provide them and have them listen to you when something does go wrong, or when they do something wrong, which is even worse, because you want them to trust you enough to want to come to you when they realize they screwed up. There's nothing worse, and you said this earlier, but I'm going to rephrase it. There's nothing worse than someone accidentally clicking on a phishing link and leaking stuff, and then them not telling you because they're afraid of the recourse of what's going to happen.
Yep.
Right? So you need that trust. Otherwise, you're doing them a disservice.
So speaking of fiery explosions, though, one of the other things that is much more important probably in the last decade than when I got started in this industry is risk management.
Yeah.
In order to be a trusted advisor, in order to build that trust in the calm, not in the storm, you have to not just install AV, not just manage patches, but you have to look at their business and create a risk profile and actually be ready for when the bad things happen. You have to have an incident response plan, right? You can't be a trusted advisor unless you've prepared for an incident. Like, I'm sorry. It's one of my real big sticking points.
Wait, I want to interject on that one for a second, because what I don't want people to do is think that they have to write the IRP for customers, because most MSPs are not
fair.
They're not well versed enough to write, because IRPs are very specific. So if you, just as a point of reference, like I agree with you, all your customers should have an IRP. A lot of them, I mean, my customers, some of them are really small. It doesn't make sense, but their IRP is called Virtua, so we're fine with that. But for the real customers, for the real big ones that need that, engage with a firm that can do this. Like, we engage with a cybersecurity firm that writes IRPs. I have like 4 or 5 customers who I've done the same exercise with this cybersecurity firm to write the IRP, and I help both the firm and the customer by interjecting where Justin and Virtua and such should be in their IRP, which, by the way, for each one of my customers is in a different place. But I'm not, you guys have listened to me plenty. I can barely speak English, let alone write an IRP, right? So engage with the right people to do it. But yeah, sorry, continue. I wanted to throw that in there because I don't want people to think that they have to do it themselves. But yes,
No. And that's a great point, because not every MSP is well versed enough in compliance, specifically if they have a client that has a high risk profile.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that most MSPs can recognize that this is a risk profile that I don't know a lot about. So yes, I need to go find someone who does know about this, who can come in and on a contract basis build that IRP. And that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to do everything yourself. I don't think you should do everything yourself, because it just doesn't work in all situations.
I agree with that too. I think if you're trying to do everything yourself and still calling yourself a trusted advisor, you're going to falter, right? Like, a jack of all trades, master of none. There's more to that quote that nobody ever remembers, but like, you don't want to do that, because I think the best MSPs and the ones that are proper trusted advisors are the ones that hone in on a niche. And like, we can take that to the ICP thing. We've talked about the ideal client profile before, but if you hone in on a niche, like, I'm the trusted advisor when it comes for my customers, not because I have a couple different profiles, but for my customers, we're the trusted advisors when it comes to things that are Apple related. And when that PC comes in, I've told them, listen, we can do it, but we're not great at it. And like, we're setting up that level of trust of what we do and do not know. But if a customer is like, I got an iPad, we're like, psh, all over that. You know, that's where our skill set is. And that's where my teams can be trusted advisors. Don't be all things to all people. Be all things MSP, but don't be all things to all people. You know?
So the next one that I think is important, because it's probably one of the biggest concerns for any business owner. And this goes across any type of vertical, any type of business. What do you think is one of the most important things that keeps a business owner up at night?
Financial risk, losing data.
Financial risk.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. So what can I do as a trusted advisor to help kind of at least get rid of the mystery behind that financial risk? Well, one of the things I can do is I can help them budget their technology.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
And I think a lot of MSPs are missing that because they don't participate in the business side, the budgeting side of the conversations with their business owners.
I agree with that. I can tell you that we do budgeting with some customers and not others. More so definitely on our nonprofit side than our profit side. And we plan out a year or two in advance with what's going to happen, because, you know, it's one thing to tell your customer, like, you need to refresh all your stuff. It's been 3 years, but it's another thing to be like, not only are we going to refresh all your stuff, we have to think about the server. We have to think about VoIP. We got to think about printers, but then coming to them with a plan of action. Because I love this one story. I've told this before. I must have told this before on this call on the show here. Is I had a nonprofit and they were very cash sensitive, and they needed a massive overhaul. They were running like an on-prem Dell server that was like dying. They had mismatched Wi-Fi access points through their entire location. They just patchworked their entire stuff. And I put together an entire rip and replace for them. And it was going to be like $50,000, $60,000. And they're like, we cannot do $60,000. And I was like, I knew that in advance. That's why I created for you a budget plan on leasing. And I like put all these numbers together. And the lease came out to like $2,000 a month or whatever the number was over the course of 4 years. Going in with that knowledge of, I knew they were going to balk at the price, and going in with a plan of action to solve that made me look significantly better to them as a trusted advisor, because I understood their business risk, their financial risk, and how to make them more productive all in one move.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that this is probably a pretty good place to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I want to say that a lot of the stuff that we talked about today is really about making sure that you are minimizing the amount of surprises for your client.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of where trust comes from. Trust comes from you communicating with them, you telling them what's going to happen, and then that thing happening, but you either being prepared for it already or it being just a part of the normal course of business, and it happened according to a schedule and everything was fine.
Let's hope everything's fine. I feel like everything's fine, and what is that, like the dog is sitting in the coffee cup with like everything on fire behind them? That's the world we live in. But everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, okay. So here, I don't know. I don't think I posted this on social media yet. I did show it to you.
Yeah.
But Amy got me a Zen garden, you know, one of those sand Zen garden things that you can rake around and all those things. But it's a dumpster fire Zen garden.
Yeah.
And it has a little raccoon holding a sign that says everything is fine. And it has a dumpster in the corner with fire coming out of it. It's awesome.
She knows you well. She's your trusted advisor. Well, from two trusted advisors to the rest of you, check us out, facebook.com/group/all things MSP. All the people that are in that group could be your trusted advisor as well. If you need help, do post there. That's what that group is there for. Check us out in all of our YouTube glory, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. Follow us on all your favorite podcasting tools. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Check out where we're going to be next. I think our speaker list somewhere is posted somewhere. But if not, find us in real time and talk to us. We're human beings. We're not really in a box. I promise you that. That's Eric. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, GoZinta, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.